So the story I'm going to look at today is from Action Comics 242 from July 1958, featuring the super duel in space and the first appearance of Brainiac. It's by Otto Binder, the writer, and the artist is Al Plastino. And what's kind of interesting, beyond the fact that this is the very first appearance of Brainiac, is that this picture on the cover looks way more like the classic Brainiac than what he looks like on the inside. So it says, when a supervillain from outer space menaces the Earth with his amazing scientific powers, Earth's mighty champion Superman speeds to give battle. But this time the Man of Steel encounters fantastic superpowers even greater than his own. And a breathless world waits in suspense to learn what will be the outcome when the Man of Steel and Alien of Steel, the Alien of Steel, begin the super space duel. And Brainiac says, "You're only wearing yourself out, puny man. Even if you threw the Earth itself, it would only bounce off my ultra force field." So you know that he's a high intelligence because he's able to come up with that zinger, calling him puny man. So that's really his superpower at the beginning. He's just got this impenetrable force field, and that's kind of what he does. So we go and the story opens with the Columbus, the first experimental spaceship with humans aboard that include Lois and Clark as reporters. So that's obviously quite silly and would never happen, but this is before anyone had launched into outer space, so I guess they're just kind of thinking, well, maybe they would just send reporters up there. And they come across this very classic-looking spaceship, alien UFO, and Clark Kent, with his supervision, is able to see the alien inside, and it's a very organic-looking Brainiac and his creature Coco that looks a little bit like an ape. He says an enemy from some alien planet. So he can not only see him, but he can hear him. "Did the Earthlings dare to send a ship to stop me, Brainiac, master of super scientific forces? We'll show them, Coco. The next ray I shoot out will do far worse than make animals dance madly." So this is one of the most hilarious things. Clark puts on a spacesuit and just dives out the hatch. And Lois says, "Poor Clark, he's so afraid he's jumping back to Earth." I mean, how could you jump back to Earth? What was ludicrous. And he says, "I'll pretend to zoom back to Earth propelled by the built-in supersonic jets. I'm sure that he'll survive just fine going through Earth's atmosphere." But instead he just changes to Superman and discovers that he cannot approach the ship because it has that super force field. And we go into the ship and discover that Brainiac has been collecting cities that he can shrink down. And the next city he shrinks. And by the way, Superman just kind of he shoves the spaceship to protect it, but can't really do anything against Brainiac. And Brainiac decides the first city he's going to steal is Paris. And so he shrinks down Paris, puts it in a bottle. And meanwhile, Superman kind of figures out what he's doing. He's going to steal Earth's greatest cities, yet I can't stop him as long as his ship is protected by that ultra force barrier. I'll just have to stand by and watch helplessly. Okay. So it looks like he's got Rome. So there's Rome. So he's stealing city after city. You can see Big Ben there, Eiffel Tower. What is that? New York? Probably New York. Yeah, that's New York. And he's fiddling around in there and, oops, destroys a bridge, whatever. And Superman decides to have round two with him. But not only does the shield protect the ship, but he has a shield that can protect his own body too. And he starts throwing progressively larger and larger objects at him, stone, and nothing is able to work. He says, "I'll hurl a bigger chunk, and bigger and bigger." He tore up the whole planetoid, can't defeat Brainiac. And Brainiac up here says, "I'll call you puny man." And then down here, Want to continue the duel, puny man? So, yeah, that appears to be his go-to insult, calling him puny man. And Superman comes back to... oh, that's a loud sound. Comes back to Earth and Metropolis, and Metropolis is shrunk down, and now Clark is shrunken. But that's part of Clark's plan, because he knew that he figured that Brainiac was going to shrink Metropolis, and decided to use that in order to get past Brainiac's force field. So now he's tiny, but he still has superpowers. So he goes up and turns off the hyperforce machine, but he needs to figure out how to return the cities to Earth. So decides to hide in one of the cities and discovers, oh, it's Krypton, and it has a Kryptonian level gravity, and so Superman loses all of his strength, which I thought at that point it was decided that it was the yellow sun that gave him most of his powers, but I guess the but I think that Brainiac also duplicated the red sun of Krypton, so all his powers are removed, and so he meets up as a scientist, kind of explains his whole backstory, and the scientist, apparently he's been in there a long time, and he's really figured out how all of Brainiac's equipment works, because it is a glass container. Also explains that they have rocketry, they have this creature in a zoo that can eat metal, and Superman comes up with a plan. And by the way, Brainiac has decided that what his big plan is to go back to his home planet, which apparently some disease wiped out everyone. So he's going to steal these. He's going to steal all of these cities, and then return. Somewhere in here it talks about it. Return and become the emperor of all these locations. So Superman comes up with a plan. He's going to use the rocket and the metal-eating creature to escape. Once he's out of the jar, he is now back to being super, but he's super tiny, and he's able to click the buttons. What he decides to do is sacrifice himself. There's only enough energy to, so he manages to restore all the cities. And then there's enough for one more, and he decides he's going to restore whatever the city is. He's going to restore the city and sacrifice himself, but the scientist in there decides no, and he pushes the button to restore Superman, and so now Superman is normal size. And Superman says, so he's gone into suspended animation for 100 years. Brainiac has, to return to his planet. And Superman says, let Brainiac's ship fly on. When he awakens, he will have no stolen cities. Let him live on his desolate world alone, a cruel king without a kingdom. The miniature Krypton city will keep safely here. Perhaps I'll find a way to restore it to normal size and live with my people again someday. Who knows? So this is the last appearance of Brainiac in this volume. So I don't know how long it is. It may have been intended as a one-time appearance, probably was, but it also shows you how talented Otto Binder was, that he was constantly creating ideas, concepts that would stand the test of time. So that is the first appearance of Brainiac, and he's quite a bit different from how he is now. But I thought it was a fun story. A little silly, but they all are. So that is the Super Duel in Space with the first appearance of Brainiac.